Okay. Thank you. So, stage is yours.
Thank you, Arda. So to start with, actually, as usual, I also want to thank Arda and for anyone who is showing effort for this great organization. So I want to applaud them as well with you, together with you. So as the name of the panel suggests, so we will try to discuss about about understanding blockchain technology and also beyond. So by beyond, what do we mean? So it will be hopefully determined by our very nice discussion. So in the first panels, I mean, like 1 year ago, when I was trying to talk about blockchain technology, and when I ask people, when I ask the crowd that how many of you can tell some application of blockchain technology other than Bitcoin, and the percentage of the crowd was like 2 to 3% who can name another application of blockchain technology. So of course this will not be the case for this nice crowd, but I really want to emphasize the difference between cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. And I think as we can describe it more, with this discussion, it will be more important for others to understand the potential of this technology indeed. So may I start with asking with you, Furkan, so what is your definition? How can you define it, define blockchain technology for us?
Actually, as we know that there are many definitions about blockchain, but I will try to define it with its attributes. I think that it's a trustless and secure and immutable platform, and also it's the future of the web. As you know that we have Web 1, Web 1.0, and then we got Web 2. It was a new style of the web that users could interact with websites. But right now, it's changing. And if we talk about the Ethereum platform, I mean, there are many platforms on blockchain, but if we talk about especially its Ethereum platform, for example, its main purpose is to define the Web 3 as a new internet that you own your data and you access to other resources in a trustless, secure, and immutable manner. And on the other hand, there are many definitions.
I think trustless and secure is clear for many of us, but could you just mention briefly about what do you mean by immutable?
Yeah. So actually, our problem is that we have some solutions about the trust issue. If I start with trust issue, when you, for example, when you enter a website, we used to remember our usernames and passwords, and then we could do this for every website. I mean, we could remember all the usernames and passwords for all the websites, and then we got a new technology that helps us, for example, Google login and Facebook login, that we can log in websites through their services. And then we changed it with a new way that you own your data, and without needing to trust any other parties, entities, you can connect with any other resources. To do that, you should have some instructions, and these instructions should not be changed. I mean, if there's a smart contract and if it writes that I will go that entity with this way and I will get my token for login purpose, it should not change. It should be immutable, because if it changes, the whole system could not be trustless and secure. So the most important thing is to be immutable for me.
Thanks a lot, Furkan. May I also ask this same question to Isabella?
Sure. So from my perspective, blockchain technology includes a variety of features, some of which she's listed here: the immutability, the trustless factor, the permissionless factor. But it also includes a level of security in the form of cryptography, which we can trust, right? We don't have to trust a person, we have to trust a computer. It's easier to trust a computer because they're just rocks that we taught to think, right? So cryptography is designed to be unbreakable. As we've seen in the past that cryptography is breakable. That's kind of what won World War II in the end. But the cryptography we have now, the public key cryptography, is the solution to security and privacy. So that is the addition I would add to his explanation.
Thanks a lot. And Mainin?
Yeah, so besides those points they just said, I think blockchain is also the next generation public infrastructure. For example, I think blockchain is very ideal for like privacy-related applications. For example, like IoT. For example, if I want the IoT device in my home and I want to be able to control it, but I won't want the control being streamed to, for example, Google server first, then go through my phone. So if I can instead route all the packet and all the control sequence through the blockchain itself, then since I have the private key to control the device at my home, I have the sole control of my home. And also because the blockchain phone node operator, they have incentive to operate the node because they get, for example, mining fee instead. So they are incentivized to provide a service. So I would say it's a new way for the new internet to provide a public infrastructure for numerous applications.
Thanks a lot. So to maybe just add one more property, I think we need to emphasize more about the decentralized structure of this database, right? So, or maybe we can also call it as distributed database. So in that sense, with these properties that you have mentioned, also together with in mind that this is a distributed or decentralized database within the network structure, crypted, secure, immutable, append-only, as you have already mentioned. Can I ask again, in which sense your project uses blockchain technology? Or maybe we can ask this indirectly. Without blockchain technology, why wouldn't your project will be available to us?
Mm-hmm. So as we know that it's hype right now, everybody tries to make some projects on blockchain, and it's okay. But for Colandi, today we had a presentation about Colandi, and I think that everybody knows what's Colandi, but it's a decentralized credit worthiness and microcredit platform, and I call it as a reputation platform. We gather all your data, and we generate a financial score for you without getting your transaction history or credit history. I mean, we aim for banked and unbanked and underbanked people. So for us, when we talk people, everybody mentioned about the, some TV series that, they get all your data and try to do something and scary for you. For us, we create a financial passport for you, and it consists of two main things. One of them is ID, Colandi ID, and the other part is Colandi score. But in our technology infrastructure, we don't hold any of your data. You own your data, and when you try to log in with somewhere with Colandi ID, you just confirm that transaction or that login process with you, and for the part that we get your data and run an algorithm on top of it, we don't store them on our databases, on our backend system. For example, today we just finished our alpha product that we don't store your name, surname, email address, or mobile phone number, or something like that. Whole the process is going by encrypted on decentralized system, and without blockchain, we could not do that. I mean, on a distributed database system, you have to store all the data about a person, but at this point, we don't store anything on our servers. That's all.
Thanks a lot. And Isabella?
Okay, so from the perspective of IOV, we don't want to repeat the same mistakes that ICANN made. So ICANN owns all of the domains and provides the service, or rather the privilege of issuing domain names. So we don't want to be the sole provider of blockchain names on the blockchain name service. So that's why we have a blockchain, because it is permissionless. Anybody can be involved in that. They can register their blockchain and put it on there, instead of having to go to a provider like GoDaddy or Google Domains and say, I want this domain, and then you have to pay them, and then they still have control of your domain name. Whereas if you have a permissionless system such as blockchain, you kind of solve that problem. So we're no longer the custodians of all of these blockchain names. You're the custodian of your blockchain name. And that's why having a blockchain is important for our project.
Thank you. And Wayne, with the permission of our other guests, so since you didn't have another separate presentation for describing Robinhood, I want to ask you with kind of a joke. So you call it as Robinhood. This is a distributed or decentralized database. I mean, what are you doing exactly? Are you kind of getting from the rich and sharing with the poor, or I mean, what is this project?
Yeah, so from our name, Robinhood, very obviously it's like a cryptocurrency Robinhood. So we provide a zero-fee cryptocurrency exchange. But like you just said, because blockchain is our core function, so we couldn't operate without blockchain. But besides from blockchain, we are also working on the payment system that is fully decentralized. And for example, if today Alice want to pay Bob Bitcoins, but Alice only has Ethereum, and what will she do in the current situation? She will need to put her Ether into an exchange, then sell it as Bitcoin, then later withdraw the Bitcoin to Bob. And it's very troublesome for any of us that need to go through all this path. And so we think that the right way to do it is through a decentralized exchange. So when Alice wants to send to Bob, she can just post a request onto this decentralized blockchain, which contains a decentralized order book. So her request will be immediately filled and converted to Bitcoin and sent to Bob. And we think this is how it is going to do it. So in a way, we are kind of disrupting ourselves as an exchange. So that is how we relate to blockchain technologies.
Thanks a lot. So the next question in mind is about, especially for non-financial applications of blockchain technology. I think that it is very important to emphasize that it is not only changing the business or the financial sector, but it has also lots of applications for society through other areas. I mean, in person, I'm an academician, and my profession is actually about political economy, not even in finance. And for example, I want to ask you this question with a specific example I have in mind. You all know the Facebook issue, this Cambridge Analytica issue, how this information about ourselves is important, and it can be used for manipulation, which can also change lots of results in the world, including election results. So one idea in my mind, which can also reveal the potential of this technology apart from the financial sector, is about we are doing all stuff in digital electronic platforms. Why not about electronic voting? Why not about electronic evaluation systems on blockchain technology, which will solve lots of issues about security, freedom of speech, etc. So apart from this example, which examples can you give us about non-financial applications of blockchain technology which might change the society?
About the other areas, except for finance, I think that, for example, the IoT part is cool nowadays. There are some projects as like Grid Plus, Power Ledger. They are trying to solve some problems on blockchain, and I think that the energy and the all in all, the IoT part is cool to work with blockchain. But for the social effect of blockchain, we should know that decentralization has a philosophy behind it. It's something different than we have right now, and it should have some social effects too. For example, when we think about the refugees, there are many refugees right now in Turkey. When they come from their countries, they do not have their identity. I mean, they don't bring their identity with them. So, for example, with Colandi, we can find a solution for them to be identified on a digital, secure and trustless system, which is immutable. And I think that this is cool. On the other hand, there are many projects which tries to make a decentralized charities on blockchain. That's cool, but what will be the future for them? For example, when a refugee comes to your country, we can. It's very good and very nice to give them money, but we should let them to be in the economy. You know, when they try to buy something and when they don't have enough money within their pocket, if their reputation is high, and if we identified them somehow, for example, with Colandi ID, we should take them into the economy to live. So I think that there should be some solutions for blockchain for good, blockchain for social effects.
Thank you,
And that's
Furkan
all.
and Isabella.
From my perspective, blockchain can enable obviously more than financial transactions. We know that you can take Bitcoin and send it to somebody to pay for something. That's great. That's wonderful. But when it comes to actually using blockchain, there are some really good applications out there, like security access control. So access to, let's say, even this building, right? We all have these cards, and they let us into our room. That's dealt with by essentially a security database, right? So from my perspective, the blockchain could do something exactly the same thing. In fact, it does. So you've got a key, a private key, it's on the card, and you swipe it, and the database says, yes, you're allowed in. And the same thing could apply to, for example, video games, DRM. So when you purchase a game, you used to be issued a license key, or when you purchase Microsoft Windows, you're given a license key in order to register that copy of Windows or that game. Blockchain could secure that. That's just another application for it. And then identity, of course, which there are many wonderful projects out there working on.
Thanks a lot, Isabella. Weinin?
Yes, and like I just mentioned also, I think IoT application is the ultimate application for blockchain. It's provide a public infrastructure for everyone to use. And actually, besides from IoT, I think one thing about blockchain that is very hard to connect with the real world is that there's no oracle, no good oracle in the system. So when you think about like Ethereum, I think most of the smart contract out there is usually like ERC20 tokens or crowd-sourced tokens. There are not many like really useful dApps around there. And I think one of the reasons is that because the disconnection between the real world information and the data on blockchain. So more and more new blockchains, they are talking about how to put an oracle that everyone can trust and have some kind of voting mechanism so people can agree on some fact. And then the smart contract can use those facts to do different stuff. So I think one way to make blockchain more useful is to propose this kind of technology and make it more robust. So in the future, we can put a lot of applications that you already work on phone on blockchain.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I have actually also lots of other questions, but it looks like we are kind of out of time. So thanks a lot for this very nice organization, and I want to thank to our guests for very nice explanations. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you. I was sitting at the back, so it takes quite time to walk here.
Thank you, Arthur. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for 2 sessions. Thanks.